shouting different things. This is a bid'ah, this is a bid'ah, this is haram, this is shirk. And they do not understand what the meaning of bid'ah is. They do not understand what the meaning of shirk is. But for example, a lot of people are mentioning that today, unfortunately, is a bid'ah. To gather in the masjid is a bid'ah. Now reflect upon this statement. To gather in the masjid, the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is a bid'ah. How does that make sense? Just that statement alone. Where are you going, my brother? I'm going to the masjid, alhamdulillah. Why are you going? I'm going to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why are you going? It's the night of forgiveness. Okay? So, I want to be in the masjid at this time. Wow, that's a bid'ah. Just think about it. Just truly reflect upon this sentence. That unfortunately these words are being thrown about as if they're nothing, they're trivial. But why? Because of ignorance. We have extreme form of ignorance on each side. And we need to learn again what the true meaning of bid'ah is. A bid'ah is something like, for example, we have 4 rakat of Zuhr Salah. We read 4 rakat. Someone decides he's more pious and he decides to put on 6. That's a bid'ah. That is a bid'ah. Because they are shouting.
ندعم في المقاومة ولا نخاف بقولة الحق لومة لائم. أقسم بالله العظيم لو في آلية لفتح الحدود علينا نعمل السلاح اللي في ليبيا كله نقلوا لي غزة. قاعدين مقاتلين عندنا كلهم موجودين ومتدربين. لو في آلية لفتح الحدود سوف نقاتل في غزة ونقاتل مع أخوتنا في فلسطين. نعلن أن حدودنا مفتوحة ولكن فليفتحوا حدودهم أمامنا. نتحداهم أن يفتحوا الحدود أمام الآلاف المؤلفة من الشعب الليبي. افتح الحدود. نحن نريد أن نتقدم إلى القدس، إلى أبو عمار، إلى فلسطين. افتح الحدود. افتح الحدود أيها العرب.
We as Ahlus Sunnah wal Jamaah, as Al-Imam Abu Ja'far al-Tahawi rahimahullah ta'ala points out in his Aqidah, his belief, is that we follow Quran, Sunnah from the Ahadith of Rasulullah, and then Ijma' of the companions, Ijma' of Sahaba, and Ijma' of the later and successive generations on any given matter. When there is Ijma', we follow the Ijma'. We do not follow isolated individuals irrelevant to what dreams they may claim. So dreams, if they are a proof, they will only be a proof if they conform to the Quran, Sunnah and Ijma'. We as Ahl Sunnah.
लेकिन हशर को होगा ये मालूम कि जीता कौन और हारा कौन, और हम सुए हशर चलेंगे शाह अबरार के साथ, और काफिला होगा रवां काफिला सालार के साथ। ये तो तैबा की मोहब्बत का असर है, वरना कौन रोता है लिपट कर दरो दीवार के साथ। ऐ मज़हर हम भी सुनेंगे।
ये शहरे मुस्तफा है, मदीना करीम है, सबको निभा रहा है, मदीना करीम है।
This is the only mosque in the UK that deserves to be boycotted like Starbucks. Imagine inviting Dajjal into your homes and licking his boots after he's killed thousands of children in cold blood. Well, that's exactly what Regent's Park Mosque did, one of the most well-known mosques in the UK. They opened the doors to the second biggest shaitan after Netanyahu and let him into our prayer spaces so he could shoot a propaganda video and try and sway the Muslim hearts and get them to vote for him in the upcoming elections. Whoever organised this is a sellout, the imam in these videos is a sellout, and all of those Muslims in the videos with him are also sellouts and munafiqs. But this is not the first time Regent's Park Mosque has done something like this. Let's not forget, they made Muslim children come into the mosque and sing God Save the King without their parents even knowing. The land that this mosque was built on was given by the British government. So it's totally understandable that these people are manipulated and controlled by Rishi Sunak and his goons, and they will do anything that this Zionist supporting government want them to do. Let's boycott Regent's Park Mosque and make sure that Rishi Sunak does not get our vote in this upcoming election. This is the
या हबीब अल्लाह सरकार की आमद, हवा दिलदार की आमद, हवा हुजूर की आमद, हवा पर नूर की आमद, हवा यासीन की आमद, हवा ताहा की आमद, मरहबा या रसूल अल्लाह या हबीब अल्लाह। आला हज़रत फरमाते हैं सुबह तैबा में हुई बटता है बाड़ा नूर का सदका लेने नूर का आया है तारा नूर का पुकार।
वमा लकुम ला तुक़ातिलून फी सबीलिल्लाह वल मुस्तضعफीन मिनर रिजाल वन निसा।
Adhan is not complete without mentioning and remembering the Prophet ﷺ. Iqama is not complete without mentioning and remembering the Prophet ﷺ. Salah is not complete without remembering and mentioning the Prophet ﷺ. Khutbah is not complete without mentioning and remembering the Prophet ﷺ. Nikah is not complete without mentioning and remembering the Prophet ﷺ. Islam is not complete without mentioning and remembering the Prophet ﷺ. Iman is not complete without mentioning and remembering the Prophet ﷺ. Kalima is not complete without mentioning and remembering the Prophet ﷺ. Adhan is not complete without...
One day you have to stand in front of Allah. You have to ask, you have to show yourself in front of Him. You have to show your dirty body in front of Rasulullah ﷺ. What state are you going to be in at that time? But in the dunya, you thought you were 10 men. You thought you had everything. You thought you could perv on women. You could sleep with other brothers, sisters. You thought you could do this. You thought you could mess around and get away with it. You thought you could rob him and nothing will happen to you. You thought you could smoke skunk and weed and you will get away with it. You lived this life for how long? For 40 years. 50 years you've been living like this, a dog life. And when, there comes a time where you have to change. I changed at 15 years old. I realized then that this is not the way. I don't want to be a gangster. I seen every single movie that spoke about gangsters, and I learned one thing at the end of it: they all die a death that is not worthy of dying. We're Muslims. The day we will die, the way we die is the day we will be resurrected. Just the way we die is the way we'll be resurrected. When you take a sip of alcohol, one sip of alcohol you take into your body, for 40 days your namaz is not accepted from you. Imagine in that state you are to die. At the time of drinking alcohol, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam said, and I'm telling you, those of you who haven't drunk alcohol, even when you do ghibat, even when you swear at somebody, even these things become major sins for you. That's the state your iman will get to. Just because you don't drink alcohol doesn't mean I'm not talking to you. Just because you don't sleep with women doesn't mean I'm not talking to you. You might do such a sin that will take you to the hellfire. You might do one good deed that will take you to paradise. One day you have to stand in front.
Behind every great man is the hand of a woman.
Yeah.
Whether that's your mother, whether that's your sister, or whether that's your wife. And most times it's generally your wife, mother or wife. And in this case, behind Piza Sahib is this great woman, phenomenal, noor from her face. Righteous, pious woman. And Piza Sahib goes, on the first night I told her that, and this is very powerful according to hadith.
Okay.
Where does a man's Jannah lie? A man's Jannah lies beneath the feet of his mother. Where does the wife's Jannah lie? In the pleasure of the husband. Piza Sahib used this example. He said, if you take care of my Jannah, I will give you your Jannah. Do you know what that means? If you take care of my mother and be kind to her and be good to her and be rightful and righteous to her, I will be so pleased. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam said that if a woman passes away, a wife passes away, and the husband is pleased with her, she will go to Jannah straight away. There is no age when it comes to marriage. Stop this, please, people. Stop this. These expectations of you have to be married at 25 or 30 or 35. Sometimes you don't have to.
That was another one.
Bishar Hafi never got married. Imam Nawawi never got married.
Never knew
and
that.
these are big timers. These are the big ulama of our ummah. They didn't get married. For whatever reasons, they did not get married. Age is a number. Yes, we all want to marry by 25 following the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But then there's a lot of sunnahs of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam that we don't follow.
Yeah.
So let's not compare ourselves there or measure ourselves to that. That is our yardstick ultimately in life. But in your own position and circumstance, you are saying that you are not ready yet to get married. As in, take the commitment of bringing a woman into your life that you will devote your entire life to and time to and build a partnership with, because you want to first complete your education. That is a priority right now. Yes?
Yeah.
There is no age when it comes.
We find people now doing tawaf around Sahibul Mazar. We find people doing sajda to the person in the grave. ये क़त्अन हराम है इस्लाम में, लेकिन ये आजकल सरेआम है जी. One picture, one clip goes viral within a matter of a few minutes, and then we find adversaries and opponents of the Ahlus Sunnah saying, oh, you dekho, these Sunni Brelvis, they grave worship. Even though these are acts of the juhala, acts of the ignorant, that to do sajda to anyone or anything other than Allah, this is qat'an haram in Islam. Kya hai? Haram hai Islam mein. We find people now doing...
I'm a Google Cloud software engineer, and I refuse to build technology that powers genocide, apartheid, or surveillance. Project Nimitz puts Palestinian community members in danger. I refuse to build technology that's going to be used for cloud apartheid. No cloud for apartheid. No tech for apartheid. Free Palestine. I'm a Google Cloud software.
Again, those who said that he's just like you and me need to think before they speak. The Prophet ﷺ is a human being. We're not negating or denying this fact, but he's not any ordinary human being. Just like a diamond is a stone, but not like any ordinary stone. Allahu Akbar. So again, those...
اللهم عليك بمن هدم بيوتنا يا الله. اللهم عليك بمن آذانا يا الله. يا منتقم يا جبار. أرنا بمن ظلمنا عجائب قدرتك. اللهم عليك بمن هدم بيوتنا يا الله.
Down, down the terrorist state of Israel! Down the terrorist state of Israel! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Gaza! Free, free Gaza! Free, free Palestine!
غوث خواجہ رضا حامد مصطفیٰ اور تاج شریعت پہ لاکھوں سلام. کاش محشر میں جب ان کی آمد ہو اور بھیجے سب ان کی شوکت پہ لاکھوں سلام.
I heard jinns are actually afraid of humans because of our intellect to them. Our intellect and our mastery of the world, science, engineering, is like magic to them. Yeah, they can't explain, understand how we do it. We can't explain how they do their thing. So their regular behavior, we call it magic. Our behavior, they probably call it magic. Except that humans don't have a vested interest in harming jinn. It's like we're moving on. Like we were the chosen species. I heard jinns are actually...
How many parents would make their children wake up early in the morning? Fajr namaz. When Fajr was at 4 o'clock, did you ever go to your children and say, Putar utho, stand up, it's Fajr time? No, we don't. Why? We never woke up ourselves. We don't read the Quran ourselves. Well, how can we tell our children to read the Quran? We don't act upon the sunnahs ourselves. How can we tell our children that they should be acting upon the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? How many parents...
In your heart, you should know that I don't have no rancor in my heart for nobody.
Yeah.
You know, it might take time for you to express that to someone, but sleep at night knowing that I don't hate no one.
Yeah.
If someone hates me, that's their problem, but I don't hate nobody. Ya Allah, I don't have no hatred in my heart for no one. Your creation, we're insan. Man makes mistake.
Yeah, of course.
We are prone to error. Just the best of those who return back to Him.
Of course.
After erring and after making mistake and that. Turn back to Allah and that. And death is above your head. As soon as Allah gives the command, the angel will do his job. Do not think for a moment death can come at any time.
أينما تكونوا يدرككم الموت ولو كنتم في بروج مشيدة.
أينما كنتم, wherever you are.
I forgot, no? أينما تكونوا يدرككم الموت ولو كنتم.
Death will hit you.
ولو كنتم, even if ولو كنتم في بروج مشيدة, even if you're in a high fortress castle.
Even if you're in the highest of highest.
Allah saying that.
In your heart, you should know that I don't. Girls think, oh, my kitchen, my independence, I need my husband's heart. But you come into his life 27 years later. Cristiano Ronaldo.
Biggest mummies boy.
They say he's the best footballer. It's all about his mum.
All the time he goes on about his mum.
He wins a trophy, gives it to his mum.
Yeah.
Bro, your mother, man. And you know, if your wife understands the maqam of your mother, you know what? She'll understand her own maqam when she has kids.
Yeah.
Because tomorrow Allah give our wives,
Ameen.
Those women out there who don't have children, Allah give them children. When they become mothers,
Ameen.
The role will reverse.
Yeah.
The tables will turn. The time will come upon you.
Yeah.
If you're good to your mothers, and your mother-in-law is your mother as well. Mother, maybe in-law, meaning through marriage.
Yeah.
She's now become your mother. Marriage to your husband, that has become your mother. I've got two mums. I've got my biological mother and then I've got my mother-in-law. This mother-in-law term, forget that. Ye meri sas hai. Forget this meri sas hai. Ye meri maa hai. Change this mentality of ye meri sas hai to ye meri maa hai. What's his mother is mine, and you know what? He will say that your mum's my mum too. I love her just as you love her. Because in the day I've accepted you, by accepting you I've accepted her. Bro, this is a problem, man. Girls think, oh, it's not a bad thing to marry in the family. It's not, frowned upon or against the teachings. You know, it's not necessary. And this, I see her like my sister or I see her like my brother. You may have grown up and been close to each other, but end of the day, you're not. She's not your brother or your sister, she's not your brother or your sister. She's a cousin.
Allah says in the Quran in the fourth parah who we're allowed to marry, who we're not allowed to marry anyway.
Exactly. And so on, and Allah Almighty mentions, and you can't marry. Allah's told us who we can't marry, and everything else you can. Everyone else you can. So it's important that we keep that in mind. And then obviously, say now we've got into a scenario where wedding day, we've got to where we want. So I'm gonna in contrast look at both your wedding days, because you're sat here and I can do that and we can talk about this, and then generally what's happening. What is happening now? It's not a bad thing to.
Islam categorically condemns forced marriages.
Yeah.
And I think that goes without saying. Then again, the discussion is linked with what we touched upon yesterday. This age-old argument of culture versus religion. And we find that unfortunately some parents are still stuck in the olden times, and they've got this backward mentality to an extent. And to be honest, they're not really worried about their own children's future, but rather their own izzat and honor, which is mind-baffling, and it's quite worrying, to be honest. Obviously, I've got two daughters. Everything we do now is for our daughters. Everything that, if you're a parent, those of you who are watching, whatever you do and you've got children, it's always for the children. You put them first. But some people are selfish. Can we say that?
Yeah.
Some people are selfish.
But can parents be selfish?
If it's selfish in the sense that they want what's best for their children, they know that it's going to be good for their children, and they want to really push that home, which sometimes children are blinded to. Parents can have that foresight and they see something which is good for the child, they'll push that through. There's nothing wrong with that. Islam.
Expectations are too much sometimes, man.
Very.
Do they not? Prior, pre-marriage expectations.
Too big.
Oh, and this uncertainty. Bro, we live in uncertain times, and I tell you what, people's imans are uncertain. This word, I don't know, it's a risk. I'll tell you what, marriage is a gamble. Let me tell you another secret. I've been married. I actually got married when I was 20 years old. My marriage was arranged by the people at the masjid I was working at, through them. I married this girl with good intention. It didn't work out. When I look back now, 10 years, I was 20 years old when I got married. So people say, get married, get married, get married. I've been there, mate. Don't worry. I wore this t-shirt before you got married. Don't you worry about me getting married. I'll get married. What concern do you have me getting married? Why are you so worried about me getting married, man?
Yeah.
I'm not leading or playing nobody on. Believe you me. I'm not into any of that. I will get married, relax.
Yeah.
But I have been married. I've had a taste of marriage life.
Yep.
And I'll tell you now, I use the word gamble, chance, risk. Expectations are too much. Marriage isn't about your andi and roti.
There you go. That's what
marriage is not about who does your bed. It's not about that. It's about who you're compatible with. Who has the deen, who has the character, who will give the best upbringing to your children.
Exactly.
That is what you need to look at. And
that's what I said, yeah.
You know, we need to break these stereotypes. Like I've had, as an imam in my position, there's been, I'm not going to even lie, over the years, hundreds of cases where young people have come to me and said, I want to marry this guy, but the family have rejected because I'm a different caste. I want to marry this girl. That's wrong, man. Come on, man. Why are parents so narrow-minded, man? We understand, okay, maybe there's links or reasons, but,
Imam Sahib, sorry, I'll just bring you in on the joke. You said, when
you don't have to marry just in your race or in your caste.
True. Like,
caste is a massive thing.
Mom, again, sorry, Mom. Apologize.
Marriage isn't about... The women will be wearing the most immodest clothing on the day of the wedding. I really think, well, are you practicing or are you... It don't make sense. What sort of mindset do you hold? So you've got to look at the mindset of people.
Or could in that liberal way.
They've got where the belly buttons are showing, they've got saris on and all sorts, and the shoulders are showing, and
but the heads are covered.
But the head is covered, for example. It just doesn't make sense. Like, you've got a crisis here, lad. Sister, there's a problem here. You're stuck. You need to find yourself and put yourself somewhere, because you can't be a mix.
I think we've always had them, concerns, and there has always been a discussion, and certainly over the last 5 to 10 years, one of the topics you've actively spoken on, and I've spoken on a few times as well, is identity crisis. It's led a lot of youngsters, this identity crisis
confusion
has led them away from the religion.
The women they use the title, we are Salafi, we follow the Salaf Salihin, we are the righteous predecessors. Yet what they say and do contradicts the righteous predecessors. If anything, we are the Salaf Salihin, we follow them. We followed the Salaf Salihin. Why?
Belief and in.
Because we go back to the Imams of that time. We don't go direct to the Quran and Sunnah without knowing Arabic or any knowledge or prior foundational knowledge, nothing. And say, oh yeah, I read Bukhari last night. In English.
And take the narration out of context or apply it where it shouldn't be applied, so on and so forth. Our Imams have done the work for us. It's simple. You follow them, you become a muqallid of them.
And we conform to, of course, the Quran and Sunnah is ultimate. Our creed comes from the Quran and the Sunnah. And the Imams then that developed and took this, that's what it is, that's the reality. We conform to Sayyidina Imam Abu Hanifa, we're muqallid to him. We follow his way because we believe and trust he was a great Imam. The Prophet ﷺ told and prophesied about this great Imam.
And that they were closer to the zamana and the time of the Prophet ﷺ then.
They use the title, we are Salaf. There's nothing wrong with girls wanting to move out of their homes.
No.
That's not a bad thing. I didn't mean to elaborate on